What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Talking with Views, episode 151. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about all the MLB. We got playoff predictions, standings prediction, expectations for every single team. Before we get into any of that, let's introduce the guests for today's episode. We got two certified beauties from the old times. We got Kettler and Connor. Welcome back. It's been a long time, but thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you. It has been a while. Still waiting on the residuals from the last ones, but
Yeah, they'll come. I think.
I figure like after like 10 appearances, then you'll drop them all at once.
Yeah. I think maybe the mailman still has it right now.
Okay.
It's hard to get to your place. You got to do like horse carriage and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
maybe it's en route.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll get there.
the
It'll
Pony
get there.
Express is still on its way. So
All right, so on this episode today, we're going to talk about every single division, going into each division, talk about our expectations for each team. If we want to talk about it, could be a quick 2-minute talk for each division, could be a 30-minute talk. We don't know. We're going to talk about it for each division, though. Then at the end, give out our standing prediction for the season for each one, who's going to win it, plus our playoff teams and our World Series champs from the beginning. Last year, we actually did pretty solid when it came to our picks. A couple guys picked some good MVP runs and had good years. So this year, I'm hoping we do pretty well, at least on the playoff teams, because I think everybody who picked Dodgers last year, which was, I think, all of us practically, made a good run for that one. And a big shout out to Rafa too, saying Teoscar Hernandez was going to be a all-star last year and actually ended up doing it. So nice job, Rafa. But let's start this one off in the NL West with the World Series champs from last year, the LA Dodgers division here. They were the World Series champs. Obviously, everyone kind of expected that. They got first in this standings last year. San Diego was second. They lost the NLDS to the Dodgers in 5 games. Arizona, San Francisco, and Colorado were third, fourth, and fifth, but missed the playoffs in that season. So this upcoming year, a lot of moves, a lot coming from the Dodgers point of view. But Kettler, start off with you. What do you think about this division? What are your expectations for each team?
So the Dodgers are, unfortunately, I talked about this before, where they used to develop and now they're signing all these star players and they're just becoming the superstar team. People will hate, or people are like, oh, the Dodgers this, the Dodgers that. They're just a good team. They use their money well. They defer their money well, and they really just find ways to win. The Padres, they don't do anything when it comes to signing players. The Rockies are not going to be competitive at all. San Francisco, they kind of are trying to get into there with Buster Posey, trying to make all these moves and stuff. But at the end of the day, I still think the Dodgers are going to win that division. So I have a hat for every division I think, or every team that I think is going to win in this division. I am not going to put this hat on, but I think the Dodgers are going to win.
It's okay. Division. I got a picture.
Nope,
I'll show.
No,
there you go. There's the picture. He's got the Dodger hat on.
Nope. Holding this hat. Still wearing my Angels proud, but the Dodgers will win this division.
Hey, we appreciate you Spotify and Apple Podcast listeners, but if you're on the YouTube channel, you did see an awesome picture of Kettler wearing a Dodger hat, which we appreciate that, Kelly. Thank you very much for that.
Gonna make sure to censor that one.
So you got Dodgers winning. Who you got as a runner-up?
For that division?
Yeah, Giants. For the division. Giants. You got Padres, I'm guessing, as third.
Mm-hmm. And then AZ 4. Yeah, Diamondbacks 4th and Rocky. I know the Diamondbacks, I didn't even mention them really. I know the Diamondbacks, for some people, are going to think they're going to win the division. I think that's kind of stretching it a little too far, in my opinion. But I think they had that one fluke season where they were really good, and they're just going to be a mediocre team now. So I think with the Dodgers and the Giants, just the way they're gonna blow the rest of the division out of the water. So.
All right, Connor, what do you think? Got anything different from him?
Dodgers. They're just so good. They're so good. I mean, it was I think they're kind of in like a league of their own, you know. It's really nice to see how they've taken over pretty much everything. Japan certainly loves them, so that's good to have them with us. But I don't know. As far as off-season moves, I wasn't a big fan of them getting rid of Lux. I was really liking his progression with the team. He came off that, was it ACL tear? And this was kind of his first full season back, and he had a really slow start to the season. But then he really started showing his potential, and I feel like the Reds may be getting that version of him going forward. And then the player, who is it, Kim, who is going to be his quote
Yeah.
unquote replacement, I don't even think he's going to be starting anytime soon. So that was kind of a questionable move. Obviously, bringing back both Teoscar and Kike is huge, just to keep the team where it's at. There was obviously going to be some guys like Flaherty and Bueller getting let go, which I think was for the best. Obviously, they're legends for helping for everything they did for the World Series run, but yeah, I think they were like an absolute juggernaut of a team, and they got even better and healthier, which, nothing's guaranteed with health, but I think they'll for sure win the division. Dude, you're never gonna believe this. Hold on, I'll be right back. This wasn't planned, but
He has a hat.
Cliffhanger.
He has a
Cliffhanger.
Dodger hat.
I actually have a
He
hat for
has a
every
Dodger
division
hat.
too.
Oh, he's
So,
a Dodger fan.
dude,
Oh,
okay, no, I'm not. What are you talking about?
you're a Dodger fan.
I'm not biased. I have a team or a hat for every team I think is gonna win the division too. So yeah, I do think the Dodgers are gonna win. I still think the Padres will get second. I think there's too much talent there to not. I think they were the second best team in playoffs last year. If they squeaked out a win in Game 5 against the Dodgers, and what is it, the DS, or was that wild card? DS. Um, I think they would have won the World Series. So I think they're still definitely in contention, not like really threatening the Dodgers, but I think they'll get second. I think the Diamondbacks will get third. I think they'll have a little bit of a bounce back year, but nothing like they were 2 years ago with that, crazy run they had. And then I really want to put the Giants last. Well, I'm not going to. You got to give them some respect, and they'll probably be pretty good in a few years. So
Yeah.
I think they'll still finish fourth, but I think it's just a really good division. I think they're probably just as talented as some like wild card teams that end up making it. So, and then unfortunately, Colorado is probably going to be down there at number 5.
How'd you say that?
Colorado,
Even with Mickey Moniak signed with the Rockies today
Good
for
Lord.
$1.25 million.
Who cares?
Mickey Moniak
Mickey
was
Moniak got released by the Angels yesterday.
This
Didn't
guy with
release
the
him.
angel news,
really.
man. This
Yeah,
guy with the angel news.
I thought he was good.
He
they're
was,
having Joe
yeah.
Adele as the starting center field. I know we're not in the AL West right now, but that's
He got
but the NL
excited.
Mickey Moniak is in the NL West, so
Hey,
that makes
anything to include his angels, man.
Yeah, well,
I'm not gonna talk too much more besides that. I think what the Dodgers did in the offseason was very good. I don't know if anybody is really overall angry about this, but I think the Dodgers did exactly what they should have done, which was put in a better roster than I think that they did last year. And I think this roster is better than last year. So I think the Dodgers are still the big bad. I'm not just this division, but the MLB as a whole. I think they're a playoff lock. They're a division lock. I think they got the number one in this one here. For the Padres, I still think that they could be contenders, but I still think that they're not quite there. I think this team upcoming season is worse than last year's team, which kind of scares me and gives me hope for a team like San Francisco or Arizona. I think Arizona went out picking up Corbin Burns for a big contract. I think it's actually going to be a pretty good pickup in the long term there. They did lose Jordan Montgomery to TJ surgery, which sucks, but Montgomery last year did not do much for the team anyway, so I don't think that's going to impact him as much as some people do think. The Giants picking up Verlander for 1 year, veteran guy. I don't think he's going to produce all that great, but I think having him in the locker room could help as a long-term kind of feel for this season. Colorado still sucks. Not going to talk too much about them. They're still going to be the
hey,
bottom of the team there. So my standings, Dodgers number 1, Arizona 2, San Diego 3, San Francisco 4, Colorado 5. I think Arizona could squeak out with San Diego, but as Connor said in the beginning, it's a tough division. If you want to be good in this division, it's going to be how well you're going to play against the Dodgers. And I think these teams are going to struggle against the Dodgers. So it's going to be pretty much a three-way tie for second. I think Arizona edges out San Diego, and I think San Diego edges out San Francisco for this upcoming year.
probably think I'm crazy that I put Arizona 4 then, huh?
No, because I think this division is when it comes to not being in first place like the Dodgers right now, I think 2, 3, and 4 could be inner swaps all in
Yeah.
general. I think anybody could respect Arizona at 2, 3, or 4, San Diego at probably 2 or 3, and San Francisco at any of the 2, 3, or 4 spots. I think you'd be kind of crazy putting San Diego in the 4 spot unless injuries kill them this year.
Yeah.
I do think they have a worse team than last year, but I think they're still a 3 or second spot in this division.
I agree.
All right, let's move on to the NL Central, where Milwaukee had the win last year. They were the only playoff team in this division. They got the one in here. They lost in the wild card to the Mets, 2-1. St. Louis got second, tied with Chicago. They're not good seasons for either team overall. Cincinnati in the fourth spot, Pittsburgh rounding that one for fifth. So Kettler, back to you. What do you expect from the teams? How do you think this is going to shape up for this division here?
I really want to say the Cardinals to win the division, but I know that would just be my bias coming in. I think of anybody in this division, it's really between the Cubs and the Brewers for me. The Cubs made a lot of acquisitions this offseason, including Kyle Tucker, Carson Kelly. They just got some, and then they got Craig Counsell now with the Cubs, and so the Cubs are a pretty decent team. But I still believe overall the Brewers are going to win the division. They got Nestor from the Yankees, and they got some key aspects where maybe they can actually not have Pete Alonso kind of scare them now in the playoffs, where they can actually go over the top. So I'm going to go with the Brewers. I'll put the Brewers hat on for this
It's
one,
like you got
actually.
drafted by the team, man.
Yeah, I make the selection. This is the Brewers. The Pirates, they get all the hype. I really don't think they're that great still. Uh, it's just not. This division is weak in general. I do think the Reds are going to be better as well with Terry Francona and Gavin
Gavin
Lux.
Lux. Oh,
Um, that Reds team will be scary. So I would probably put Brewers first, Reds second, Cubs second, Reds third, um, Pirates fourth, and then Cardinals fifth.
All right. Potter, what do you got to say?
um, yeah, that's what he said. No, I think the Cubs are gonna win the division. I think they have with Kyle Tuckers and Pete Crow Armstrong
Yeah, I like
young and
that
coming
kid.
up on for them to. I don't know. I don't think it's a hard division to win. I think they're a team that has enough pieces. They still have Dansby Swanson, so I think they're a team that could kind of just like why not them, just come up and win the division. Now, will they be any threats in the playoffs? I don't know. Maybe not. But I think they're more than capable of winning that division. And then I think the Brewers are probably safe to put second if I'm not going to put them first. And then I'll go Cincy three. And then who else? Who else plays?
Yeah,
Oh,
Pittsburgh and St.
Pittsburgh
Louis.
and St. Louis. I'm gonna put St. Louis four and Pittsburgh last.
Okay. Yeah, really, this division is super boring division. It's been boring the last
Yeah,
couple of
they
years.
should just get rid of it.
But yeah, this division's boring. It's boring every year. There seems to always only be probably one, maybe two teams, and that usually that second team is like the last wild card team in the playoff spot. So this division is not very fun to watch. I think what Cincinnati did in this offseason actually is pretty solid. They already mentioned Gavin Lux coming in. Brady Singer, I think, is actually going to be a good pickup for that starting rotation to help out. I think Jose Trevino might be an underrated pickup as well for this year. So I kind of like what they did there. Uh, Pittsburgh, I think, yeah, there's a hype there with Paul Skeens and stuff like that, but I think it's going to be a fun team to watch this year because you have Paul Skeens. They're going to want to do something around him offensively, so maybe the offense will be a little bit better this year for the Pirates. I don't expect him to do anything like crazy, I don't think, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're just a fun team to watch all season long.
They have a
Chicago,
great rotation, the Pirates do.
yeah.
But it's like you said, their offense is just it's not good.
Yeah, so I mean, as Kettler said, rotation is great. Offense has to produce. And I think the offense could have a potential to produce, but we're gonna have to see that. Maybe even to be a big buyer at the deadline too, if that offense is not quite there, but the pitching is keeping up with it. So could be a fun team to watch when it comes to the defensive side of baseball games there. St. Louis did not do anything in the offseason. They lost Paul Goldschmidt. That's pretty much all the news there. Are we going to see Nolan Arenado moved? I don't really think so at this point, but I still think his name is on the chopping block there. So I don't think St. Louis is going to be anywhere close to wanting to win. Milwaukee, to me, didn't do anything as well. They lost more than they brought in. So I think Milwaukee is on the downgrade as well. So for my division standings, I got the Cubs winning it. I think Kyle Tucker coming in for Cody Bellinger I think it could be a offensive boost. Defensively, you're going to want Bellinger in the center field. Tucker plays right field, but I think defensively, you're still going to want Bellinger over Tucker. But offensively, they're going to love Kyle Tucker in Chicago. Second, I got Pittsburgh. I know I just said offensively, I don't think they're going to do all that much, but I think there's going to be times where pitching wins games. I think Pittsburgh being in such a boring division, they might be barely above 500, but maybe that's just good enough to get second in this division. Maybe not playoff team, but second in the division. Third, I got Milwaukee. Same reasons. I think they're just on the way down, kind of like how I said with San Diego. I think their team's worse this year than last year. Cincinnati, I like them this year. I still don't think they're going to do all that great. I got them fourth. St. Louis, I got five. I think they're just on the track of going down, which is weird to say, being uh, around Cardinals success pretty much for all our lives. And now seeing the Cardinals in this struggle here seems very weird, but I think they're going to be fifth in the division this season. Any final comments from the Central guys that you guys did not mention?
I think
I
they're
wi-
young.
you to your point on that. I really wish the Cardinals could get back to the Cardinals that we um love and know. I mean,
No, none of us love the Cardinals
Yeah,
very well.
okay.
Let's just
whoa,
say that.
whoa. I
Let's,
think
let's
we
just
found
say that
a
here.
closet Cardinal
Well,
fan.
okay, so
Hey, where's the hat?
Where's the hat,
it's
dude?
over there on my
It's in his
table. It
closet.
was
All right, we'll move
I,
on to the NL East now, where the Phillies won that one last year, losing in the NLDS, unfortunately, to the Mets, 3-1. Atlanta and the Mets tied for second and third. Atlanta did get the tiebreaker though. They were lost in the wild card to San Diego, 2-0. The Mets lost in the NLCS to the Dodgers, 4-2. Washington and Miami were fourth and fifth in that division, not making playoffs at all, which is not very surprising based off of their rosters last year. But this year, different rosters for all five teams. What do you think is going to shake up this year, Kettler? Anything different?
the Mets, the Mets, the Mets, the Mets, the Mets, the Mets. They're gonna be the Mets. They're not gonna be amazing. They're not gonna be the worst. Miami's still gonna suck. Atlanta is on the downfall, in my opinion. Washington, they have the youngsters. They still are trying to figure it out, and Philly is still gonna control the division. I truly believe. I mean, I don't. There's no team that um, and my selection is the Philadelphia Phillies. I really, there's no other team in that division I would really like to see in the playoffs other than the Phillies. And I know Connor, that's his pick for sure. But the
Oh yeah.
energy,
Oh yeah.
just the energy, the way they play in October is just something that's very fun. The Mets spent way too much money. The Nationals, they brought back players that are past their prime. The Mets got a lot. I mean, they got Jose got Juan Soto, of course, Clay Holmes, Frankie Montas, and you're thinking who's going to win this division. But at the end of the day, I still think the Phillies are going to just win it all in that division. So that's my pick, Philly.
What's the rest of your standings look like?
So it'll be Philly. Then I'll go. I guess the Mets. It's unfortunate. Phillies, Mets, Atlanta, Washington, and then Miami last.
All right.
So that's
Connor,
nothing. Nothing's really changed in that division.
do
Um,
you have anything different from this guy?
honestly, I zoned out pretty hard. But
He's
I
boring to listen
heard
to, huh?
am I boring
no.
to listen to?
All I
Thanks.
heard was Philly, 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 and I liked it
Well,
because
He's
Philly, oh
daydreaming.
Oh my goodness, what a place. What a place right now. I mean, to all the viewers out there, if you're not aware, the Philadelphia Eagles just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Oh
you're
my
welcome,
goodness.
guys.
It's what
You heard it here first.
you heard it here first. And the Philadelphia Phillies are probably, they feel that they need to keep that energy going in Philly. And I don't think they will once they run into the Dodgers in probably either the DS or the CS. But I think they're for sure going to win the division. They just have enough talent, probably um, all arounds. Obviously, the Mets signed Soto, which contract is insane.
That's a
Good
bad
for him.
contract.
Good for him. That's crazy. But that's still crazy. I don't think that gets talked about enough. It did get talked about a lot, but still, I don't think enough is enough. Yeah, definitely crazy. I don't think they have enough around him to be a like contender, but like Kettler said, I think they'll still get second. I think I'm trying to think of who I gotta put the Braves three and then Washington four. Kettler said the youngsters, uh, Cruz and Abrams. I think they'll be pretty good, like somewhat soon. And then the Marlins, unfortunately, will probably be last. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they'll make a run. You know, like 2020.
Maybe, maybe. For me, they already said it best when it came to Philly. I'm not going to say more besides I do like their team a lot. I think their team is just as good as last year, so expecting to be a playoff team. Kettler mentioned it. Atlanta, I think, is also on the decline here. We don't know how well these injuries are going to impact this team, or because Acuna coming off another injury, a big injury. How well is he going to perform? You got older guys like Ozzy Albies. Will he stay in the lineup all season long? I can't think of who's the catcher right now that just got injured. Sean Murphy just
Sean
got
Murphy.
injured. And they don't have Travis d'Arnaud because he signed elsewhere. So it's the kind of thing where it's like, shoot, like these injuries are killing Atlanta the last couple of years. Could it kill them again? They lose Max Fried as well to the Yankees. It's the kind of thing where Atlanta's not as good as I think some people are expecting to be this year.
Take the
So
hat off.
Yeah, I
You're in here
know.
for one.
This guy.
So I don't expect the Braves to be as good as
He's
they did
such a
last year,
hypocrite.
and they did not do that great last year. Washington already mentioned as well. The young guns are going to do great this year. I think that it's not their time, and Washington and the fan base knows it's not their time yet, but they're excited about the future, excited about who these young kids could turn into. So I think it's going to be exciting to watch Washington, see them develop those players, but we all know they're not going to contend for the top spot here. Miami didn't do anything in the offseason and they got nobody to look forward to. So I feel bad for Marlins fans, but if I was a Marlin fan, I'd maybe go over to Tampa Bay at that point. And that's not even a good look too for this upcoming season. So for my standings, I got the Mets winning it. I think it's a hot take, but I think they're going to roll into what they did last year. They spent a lot of money. Majority obviously went to Soto, but I think we're going to see a good season out of the Mets. I have them at the one spot. Phillies at two. I think they're going to contend all season long, but I think Philly still makes playoffs, but they're at a two spot. Three, Atlanta. Are they a playoff team? Are they not? I think they're right on the cusp of yes or no, but I got them at the third spot. Washington at four, Miami at five for the reasons I said earlier. So I think the Mets being a kind of a hot take there, but I definitely could see them and Philadelphia kind of going back and forth all season long.
Who are we to
Uh,
say Washington won't make a run though, you know? You said it's not their time, but like Washington and then the Commanders, I mean, come on.
it's
It wasn't
true.
their time either.
It's a
Wrong
young
They
gun
may
sport.
go
city
on a
right
run
now.
and then Philly, they did lose, 55 to 23, but who's counting? Um, but you never know. They could
Oh
they
man.
could surprise their fans and give them a little something to hope for.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
think the future's bright in Washington. So if it's not this year, I think definitely the next year they're gonna look a
Yeah.
lot more positive there. So that's it for the National League. Any final comments that you did not mention? Teams, players, expectations that you forgot to mention that you want to mention now?
no.
All right. We'll head to the American League then. Same thing. We're starting off in the West, AL West. Last year, Houston won this one. They were the only playoff team out of the division. They lost in the wild card to Detroit at home, two
Yeah,
games
right,
to
Kettler. Come
zero.
on now.
Seattle got second. Texas for third. The A's at fourth, and the Angels last in fifth. Start off
Last
with
but not least,
um,
okay.
no, they were definitely least. Um, we'll start off with Kettler again. What do you expect out of the division, dude?
So I'm not going to start with the Angels first.
Hey,
It's
take that
actually
hat
going to be.
off. Take that
He
hat
put it on, dude. He put that on as soon as you started talking
Well,
about
it's
the
it's
A's.
my it's the Angels division. We gotta be respectful here. So
Okay.
we'll first start with the A's. The A's are going to Sacramento. The A's are. There was an interview with Lawrence Butler the other day, and he's like, "The A's will make it to the World Series. They will win." And I had to chuckle a little bit because I'm like,
What,
"There's no."
2060?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be in a nursing home at that point. So no, it's not gonna happen. The A's are, ugh, not good at all. Seattle, they don't want to spend their money. I mean, they did today. They spent a 6-year contract for Cal Riley.
I think that's actually
Um,
a good contract. I
I
like
think
I like
so.
Raleigh staying there.
105 million though is pretty insane.
It's hard to find a
Um,
good
Chump
catcher, and he's a
change.
switch hitter too. So I think that's
yeah,
that's a pretty
yeah.
good value.
Chump change.
He's
Yeah, I
kind of a
wish
poor man's Adley Rushman, as I would say, even though it was $105 million. But
Mr. Big Dumper.
continue on.
Um, the Mariners are still a sleeper pick though for so many reasons where they're just one step away from making the playoffs, but I still don't think they're gonna do amazing. Houston is definitely on a decline because they lost Bregman, they lost Tucker, they lost Verlander. Altuve's Mr. Left Fielder now, who's terrible in
Oh,
left field.
look, if you want a good laugh, look at highlights of spring training, Jose Altuve.
Yeah,
Holy.
like this team in general, but the Astros are still the Astros. So I do believe they will find a way. They still have some of their young core that can pull through. And so I'm still worried about them. The Texas Rangers is where I think the biggest scare is, honestly. They missed the playoffs last year, but this year I think that with getting Jock Peterson back, which very surprised me that Evan Carter did not even make the opening day roster. Um, and then Kevin Pillar is on that team now. You still have Seager, you still have Simeon, you still have Jonah Heim. They got Kyle Higashioka, however you say his last name. Uh-oh. You got
Higashioka.
yeah, you got Garcia. So that honestly, that team is the most scary in the AL West. And then my Angels. My Angels are last. They're not last in the division. They'll be bad, but they're not gonna be last in the division.
Oh, shit.
This is one of my years where I'm always on they're gonna do well. This year, I'm like, they're not going to do well. They haven't made the playoffs since 2014. They got swept by the Royals. So I'm going in with low expectations, hoping they exceed my expectations because they lost 99 games last year. They're the only team to never lose 100 games.
You jinxed
But
it. Nice going, asshole.
knock
I gotta
on
cut
wood.
that. Cut that. Cut that.
But I won't bore you guys with my Angel talk the entire time. I do think there's some good picks with Jorge Soler, Travis d'Arnaud being a veteran catcher coming in, Kenley Jansen picking the only LA team that will take him as the Angels. LA, because we're the Los Angeles Angels at Anaheim. But I am it's Mike Trout's right fielder now. I think Taylor Ward might have an MVP type season. Um, but overall, I still don't like our starting pitching that well. I don't like getting Yusei Kikuchi. Kyle Hendricks is at the back end of his career, and you're already having players like Luis Rengifo and Yohan Mikado who's hurt. So it's going to be the same Angels like every year. So I tried to keep that a little bit less, but my pick for the AL West, Connor, is the Rangers.
Oh,
So
Oh, all right.
that's my pick for the AL West. So my list is the Rangers, the Astros at number 2, the Angels at number 3, Seattle at 4, and A's at 5.
You said Angels at 3?
Angels at 3.
God, that's a biased opinion, dude. You set the bar way too high for them to try and meet. Way too high for them to meet. Connor, what are your opinions of the division?
Honestly, I could take it or leave it. I think the Angels, like, I'm not like an Angels, I don't think I think it's sad, like, just over the years, I don't know, the fan base does definitely deserved better. It's unfortunate how, like, the team over at least the past decade, um, has, like, progressed or regressed. I mean, obviously Trout's injuries are tough, and that's nothing you can control, but having him and Shohei for those handful of years together and not being able to.
This guy's dying over here. Get a cup of water, dude. Oh my God.
Oh,
Anyway, not having an opportunity to trade Shohei for stuff and not getting anything out of him. I mean, I get wanting to sell tickets when he's on the team, but I don't know.
He
That's
didn't
all
win
the
us a World
past.
Series. That's terrible.
that was ridiculous. We really should have traded him.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. It's tough. I understand wanting to keep him too, but anyway, I don't know. I kind of got down a rabbit hole right there. I think the Angels are going to be in. I'm gonna have fun with this division right now. Angels,
Winning it.
so I don't, so I can lower Kettler's uh expectations. I'll put him at 5 because we'll be. If I'm wrong, it's like good for them because I genuinely. I want them to do well in that division. I wish they would. Like Trout is so fun to watch when he's playing and when he's at his best. Um, but man, it's been tough for sure, and it's sad. But maybe over the next couple of years they'll start trending in the right direction. I don't think it's right now. At 4, who am I forgetting is in that division? Oh.
oh,
I'll say the Astros. I think they fall
wow,
a little.
Jeez.
Oh wait, just
wow.
wait, dude.
Jeez. Dodger
Uh,
fan coming out in that one.
no, 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 no. I think obviously they were a dynasty for a while, and I've never been one to complain about like the cheating forever. Like they were that good of a team, and like the World Series they did win in what 22 or 20
Yeah, I think so. We don't have
somewhere.
Bryce on for this episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Anyway, they of course were the best team in baseball for a long time. I think that time's over, at least for now. I think they'll regress quite a bit, so I'll put them at 4. I'm gonna put the Mariners at 3. That new team in Northern California is gonna shock some people, I think. The Mariners are gonna get 3. They obviously have some pieces there, but I don't know. It's just they're never them, you know what I mean? At least not yet. Um,
they're still the Mariners. They're never gonna get to
yeah,
the
they
World
need Ken
Series. They're
Griffey
never gonna
Jr.
win
back.
it.
I think that's what they're missing.
They'll never win the World Series. So
Yeah,
Hey,
they're just
not
that
with
kind of
that attitude.
franchise.
the
Not that
Angels
The
have won a
attitude.
World Series. The Mariners have not. So
Okay, whoa.
I will say they have a better chance than the Angels at winning the World Series, though.
The Sacramento A's are runner-ups in this division this
that's
year.
crazy.
Oh my gosh, 159-1 is going to be the record. I'm just kidding. I don't think it's a tough division to bounce back in. I think they'll like kind of just roll back into it, but they got it, I think.
All right. For me, I look at this division and I go, I do not know what's gonna happen. I know who's gonna be the bottom team. I know who should be good, and there's other teams that I'm not sure what to expect out of them. I know the bottom team is gonna be the Angels. That's spoiler alert. They're my 5th team in this division. They're gonna be a bottom feeder team. They're gonna be fighting to not be a 100 loss team, which Kettler mentioned. They're the only franchise in the league who has not lost 100 games in a season. I think this year they're going to be flirting with that number again. Last year they got 99. I think there's a good chance this year we see the triple digit loss, which will kill me to see. But this team is just not ready to win now. The injuries always happen, regardless of what they look like to start off the season. Injuries always happen to this team. It's always happening to the top players, whether it's our best pitching staff players, our best infields, or it's Mike Trout. Somebody, if not all three of those people, are getting injured. So it's just the way it is. It's reality. Angels, fifth place. Now, for the rest of the division, I think it could shape up any way possible. Houston is now on the decline here. How well are they going to do? This division, could it be a tough division? Can Houston still get away with winning it? I think there's a good chance they could. But they mentioned earlier, Texas, they did a lot of stuff in the offseason. Could they added enough guys and enough pieces to not just make it back to playoffs, but be a top contender in the MLB and in the AL? Very good chance there. The A's, I don't know what to expect from them. New stadium, new expectations. They're finally spending money on players. Do we see a team that has fight, that wants to win now? I don't know. I mean, I think there's a good chance we could see that kind of team this year. Seattle, they didn't do anything too crazy in the offseason to really even mention when it comes to adding or subtracting roster spots. So we got to expect probably the same team as we saw last year, which is middle of the pack kind of team. So for the rest of the division, my winners, I got the Houston Astros. I still think this division is not as weak as some of the other, or is not as strong. It's a lot on the weaker side as the other divisions here. So I think the Astros squeak one more division win. But next year, they're going to have to add either big pieces, say goodbye to some older guys, have to do something, because I don't think next year they're going to do anything. But at least this year, they might have one more win in them. Second, I'm with Connor. I think the A's are going to surprise some people. I
Wow.
think Oakland is getting second in this division, or damn,
Whoa,
I even said it.
wait, what?
That's my
Whoa,
bad.
whoa, whoa,
The
whoa.
A's will surprise people, and there's going to be a lot of people calling them Oakland like I just did right now.
Yeah.
But the A's, I think, will surprise people. I got them second in this division, mainly because I don't know what to expect from them. I will say Lawrence Butler, player to watch out for. Brett Rooker, another player to watch out for. I think he will be an all-star. Mason Miller, closer for the A's. He's going to be another player to watch out for. So those three players right there.
Severino.
Plus, they got Severino. I was just about to mention that too. I think that's going to be a huge add as well to that starting rotation. So the A's could really do something special this season. Seattle, I think, as I said earlier, they're going to be the same team as last year, kind of middle of the pack team, could do something, could not. So I got them at third. Hot take, I got Texas in fourth. I'm not very excited about this roster. I don't think it's anything special. We always see injuries to either Simeon or Seager. I think we're going to see another one this year to that. Adolis Garcia has not been that all-star form, in my opinion, the last maybe year and a half or so. I don't think adding Jock Peterson does anything to this lineup as well. I don't think the pitching staff is all that great this year. I think Kirby Yates going away from this bullpen as well is going to hurt this team. So I do not like this one at all when it comes to looking at the roster for the Rangers. So I got them in the fourth position. Could be a little controversial, but I think this division is really up for grabs for anybody. That's just my predictions. But obviously, we all kind of got something different besides these two do like Texas. Connor and I like the A's. He doesn't like the A's. Angels in the third spot for Kettler. Angels in the bottom spot for us. It's kind of all over the place, but I kind of expect it from the AL West this year. But I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. So
What do you think of
cooking right now? Oh my gosh, that was. Did you witness that, Keller? That was like a work of art until he
I
called
did. I
the
did.
Oakland A's. But
I
man, you
know,
are
man.
cooking right now. I
Hey,
gotta
I
let you
appreciate
know.
that.
The A's, I'll go back to the A's real quick. I think the A's are always they've been well against the Angels, and they played well against other teams like Shea Langoliers, their catcher, and other players. They are sleepers. So me putting them at 5 was maybe a little mean. There is a high chance that I think the Angels, Seattle, and A's, how I put them, like 3, 4, and 5. I think they're gonna have very close in record. So I don't think it's gonna be like all terrible. I think they'll all be like mediocre in a sense.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's why I put them in that order. Also, I want to ask you guys, what do you think about the A's playing in Sacramento over Oakland, and how is that going to change
Oh,
the team
question.
and just the having a major league team in a minor league ballpark? Because
Want to
Um,
I
start
was
off,
listening
Kelly
to a
or Connor?
What's up?
Do you want to answer his question first?
I don't know. I like that question though, Keller.
It makes me
Let
go
me
back
see.
to Miss Leonti's class when we did Socratic seminars in high school.
That
Let
was a
me
good
ask
question
you
though.
guys a
No,
question.
no, no. I like it. I like it.
No, it was a good question. Seriously, it is a good question.
Um,
It just
I
reminded me
don't
a
know.
lot of high school.
I feel like maybe there's a way that like you kind of play without expectations even more being in like a minor league stadium, and it just like feels like there's not really going to be I don't know. It sounds weird, but like pressure's off a little bit, and you can just kind of like just be like your own ball club. Oh, I thought this dude was gonna put an A's hat
I
on.
did too. I was
I
waiting
was
for
like,
it.
what is happening? Uh,
Do you want me to put an ace hat on? I
that was okay.
It's all good. You're
You
good.
can't hop on our bandwagon now. It's a little too late for that, but I don't know. I think it was always a tough environment in Oakland because there was just always, at least recently, because there was always just like the dread of like knowing they were gonna leave. And now that they're gone and like that part's over, this is just an opportunity to start fresh. Obviously, it's not their new home for the long term, but I don't know. I think while you'd expect there to be some like negativity towards playing in a minor league stadium and being somewhere new, I think there's some good that could come out of it, at least for just like a single season.
Yeah, so to continue on with that question, I think it's actually a really good question. And we actually seen this before, just not in baseball. Recently, the Arizona Coyotes moved from Glendale area because they got kicked out of their arena. They went to a college arena at Arizona State in Tempe. So that going to Glendale, where there's not a lot of fan base, it's not a very good area to be in when it comes to the general area of Arizona, getting the larger population of people to go to a game. Going to a more centralized area where there's bigger population like Tempe worked out in their favor. Yeah, they weren't able to sell out every place or every game, but they were able to get more people invested in the team. The area in Arizona was more like, let's go Arizona, let's get this team a new arena. Unfortunately, it did not work out. They moved to Utah 2 or 3 years later, but we saw this already and it seemed to work out as a whole. Yeah, players didn't seem to like it, but as from a fan perspective, it seemed to work in just being able to get the backing of fans to that arena and get them more excited about them because it's more accessible as a whole. When you look at this team going from Oakland to Sacramento, I think it's going to be more accessible for a lot more of the fan base. The bad thing is you still have that same ownership, and that I think that's going to be the biggest downfall to this is it's still a money grab franchise. I mean, we've seen it the last couple of years. That's the reason why fans aren't going. They're trying to bring money in, yet they're not trying to bring money back into the team. And now we're seeing the total opposite where the team is spending money now on these new players, which gets the team more exciting. But are they going to make ticket prices unreasonable for people of a family of four to try and go to a baseball game in Sacramento? Is it going to be too unreasonable to try and watch an Oakland athletics team? Pretty much. It's pretty much what we're going to see. We're going to see an
Yeah.
Oakland athletic team in Sacramento. Is that going to be accessible to majority of the public? I don't really know. I think there's a better fan base in Oakland for the A's. Outside of Sacramento, I don't really know. But I think it's going to be good in the long term, yes, because you're going to get those fan bases that absolutely love Oakland and can't stand that they left. They're going to travel to Sacramento for a weekend series and watch them play the Houston Astros. Or I guarantee when the Dodgers
The
get there,
Los
that place is
Angeles
going to be
Angels
the
Of
Angels.
Anaheim.
If Mike Trout is in
and
the
Anaheim.
lineup, that place will be sold out. If the Dodgers go there, that place is going to be sold out. So I think in the long terms, money wise, it's going to be fine. But are they going to make it more of a fan base accessibility thing? I highly doubt it. But I think that's got to be the best option for them. Try to make it so accessible to the fans. So when they do pack it up for Las Vegas, they don't lose all of Oakland and all of Sacramento when they move this
Yeah.
team once again.
I think the A's are they're gonna have less pressure in Sacramento. And I know that's kind of because when they're going to Vegas, they're the only team in Las Vegas for baseball. But Sacramento, they're already having low expectations. People are coming there and be like, "Oh, this is a minor league team. This is a minor league team." I think it's actually a great opportunity to be these underdogs and actually make a run for it. So yeah, you guys were putting them second on your standings. I don't know if quite yet. Maybe next year.
Maybe
But
they
like,
win then. Yeah, let's put them at their win,
Maybe they
Connor.
ah,
win.
Yeah, they win.
World Series
but they can. They're a
representatives.
young team that like they're hungry. You know how Butler had that interview the other day. They're hungry for more, and I think that can work to the benefit because they're not in a big stage yet. They're in a little minor league stadium and a small stage where they can actually make a
Could
run
you
for it
imagine a
and
World
win.
Series being played in a minor league stadium?
Yeah,
Oh man, the MLB would be
Oh,
I mean,
pissed.
there's a chance to have the Rays and the A's play playoff game. I don't say the A's really, but there's a chance that possibly there could be a playoff game in the minor league stadiums this year. I mean, it happened with Toronto a couple of years ago during the
Yeah.
COVID year. But
but
there wasn't
that's
there
yeah.
wasn't fans there, so that's no little difference. But so many people hate on it. You were talking about hockey. I was also thinking about the Chargers. Connor and I went to StubHub Center when we saw they're the Commanders, but when the Redskins played the Chargers and
Oh, can you say that? Am I gonna get canceled? Can you say that?
It's your podcast, dude.
um but like so teams do go through transitions and they go
Yeah.
change to different stadiums. Now I know that San Diego Chargers was a whole mess. And it's kind of similar to Oakland. So maybe them having their own stadium, even if it's a mini one for a couple of years, could work out to the A's benefit. So
Yeah, but what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Do you guys think this is good for the A's, for good for baseball, good for the fan base,
Oh, I'm gonna give that
or
comment
total
section a
opposite?
piece of my mind.
But let us know what you guys think. But great question, Kettler. But we'll move on now to the AL Central, where the Cleveland Guardians ended up winning this one. They lost in the ALCS, unfortunately, though, 5 games to the Yankees. The Royals and the Tigers got second and third and also made playoffs. The Royals lost in the ALDS to the Yankees, while the Tigers lost the ALDS to the Guardians. Minnesota got fourth. They missed playoffs, and the White Sox were historically the worst team in baseball history. 121 losses last year for them. Kettler, do you see 121 losses this year for the White Sox? More, less, plus anybody else in the division do anything special?
I'm gonna. they can't get much worse than they did last year. So I'm gonna say the Royals. You you guys were so high on the A's. I'm gonna put the White Sox at 3 in the division for this year.
That's too low for me, honestly.
Too low. Yeah. So um, the White Sox are not going to be great, but they'll put a couple pieces together. The
Ooh.
Royals, in my opinion, are the powerhouse of that division right now. They traded for Marcana the other day. They have all the pitching they want. They have Walker, what's his name? So Lugo, I think it is.
Yeah.
Lorenzen, Seth Lugo. It's just they're stacked. They have Bobby Witt, who's great. They got Jonathan India. I there's a lot to like with Kansas City, honestly, and it's been a couple of years for them to be that superstar team. I mean, they were years ago with Mike Moustakas and
George
Gordon,
Brett.
but I'm rooting for them.
George Brett?
Huh?
That's
You said George Brett. That was like the 80s.
Cleveland will be in the mix. They'll be all right. Detroit's going to be awful, and the Twins are going to be in last place. So my standings is Kansas City at 1, the runner-ups Cleveland at 2, White Sox at 3, Detroit at 4, and then Minnesota at 5. Now I know that is a crazy picks. But I want to mix it up a little bit this year for that division. So Kansas City's going to win that one.
Connor, what do you got to say about this division, dude?
I do think I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna say Kansas City's won because, yeah, I have followed them a little bit. So I
Oh
think that
my
they
God.
haven't
I'm sorry.
this guy,
I'm
it's must
sorry.
be
This
something I'm
guy, dude.
saying every time he
Every time
starts
you
ha
talk, he starts to bark, man. Oh, sorry, Keller.
I'll say Kansas City won. Why was why does he think the Tigers are gonna be awful?
I don't know. I
I
I don't know.
They got Flaherty back and
Yeah.
he's a World Series champion.
And Scooble
That
was
big
the best. He was a Cy
Yeah,
Young winner last
I
year.
think they're gonna get second. And yeah, he's out. He's done. All right. He didn't like that one.
Oh, dude,
I
Keller.
think Tigers are going to be at two. Cleveland, sorry, Ohio guy. I'm going to put them at three.
It's all right.
Four, who's left?
Yeah.
Twins, and then White Sox. That'll be my
Um,
rankings.
yeah, for me, I think the White Sox actually flirt with last year's record. I think they might actually be worse than the last year's 121
'Cause they've been
loss
getting
team.
hurt too, on top of that, right?
Exactly. They've been getting hurt. They didn't bring anybody to make
Oh,
this team
he fired
better.
his cat.
I think, did he really? I don't have the
Yeah.
zoom on right there. Oh, what's up, Snickers? That cat doesn't look happy. Put that cat down.
He's not happy right now.
Um, back to the baseball. I think the White Sox flirt with last year's record. I don't think this team's good. I think there's a good chance they actually get around the 121 losses as they did last year. So obviously, last in my division. For the rest, I think Minnesota is on the decline. Last year, I was not high on them. That was one of my nice hot takes last year. I think last year, talking about this division, that was my best talk of the preseason. I had the Kansas City Royals high. Everyone else laughed at that. They made playoffs last year. They actually made a good run in that playoff run. I said Minnesota was not making playoffs last year. Minnesota didn't make playoffs. They look bad this year as well. I do not expect Minnesota to be good at all this year. I have them in the fourth position. So that leaves Cleveland, Detroit, and Kansas City. Three teams that made playoffs last year, three teams that I think are very good this year. I think the Royals, same thing as last year. I think their pitching is going to do outstanding. Kettler already alluded to the starting rotation. I think that's great. I think the bullpen is pretty solid. I think they could maybe add one or two pieces as well, but I think as a whole, Kansas City bullpen is fine. Detroit, I don't like Javi Baez. He is a Achilles heel to this team. But besides that, if you take away that, I think Gleyber Torres adding him to this lineup is very good. He just went to the World Series with the Yankees. He could bring that, I guess, veteran leadership to this team. I mean, I don't know if he's been in the league that long to call him a veteran, but he knows what to do when he gets in that position. I think he helps out this team a lot this year. So I think Detroit does something special here. Cleveland, to me, didn't do anything specially off season to make themselves worse. So I think Cleveland still is going to be a top contender in the American League. So I got Cleveland winning this division. I got Detroit taking second and Kansas City taking
Yeah,
third.
Cleveland.
But I think all three teams are very even and they're going to go battle for it all season long. So I think Cleveland edges out this year, but I think they all three of those teams have a chance to win the division. I think it's just gonna be very close for those guys. I love the hat, Keller. I didn't see you put on that hat, but that is an
I
outstanding
put
hat.
it on
And
for you. I don't think Detroit's going to be that well. I feel like they get too much hype. Detroit, to your point, of Javi Baez, um, Kerry Carpenter is supposed to be good. Like these players are supposed to be good. I really just don't see them being that good. I think they
smoke
have,
show of a wife, though. Nice job,
yeah.
Keller.
Um, what I think they got Manuel Margot. I just don't think they're that special. That's why, I mean, I was just trying to make a hot take and put White Sox at three. I realistically don't think they're going to be that good. Um,
What?
No, you're running with the White Sox, dude. You're a White Sox fan the rest of the year. But we'll move on. We'll move on to our last division, the AL East. Last year, the Yankees not just won this division, but they won the pennant, unfortunately losing in the World Series to the Dodgers in 5 games. Next up was Baltimore. They made playoffs, lost to Kansas City in the wild card game, 2 games to 0. Boston got third, Tampa Bay fourth, Toronto fifth. This year, I think there's a good chance we see a little bit of a shakeout. But Kettler, what do you think?
this is hard. I was thinking about this. I really like, I can just automatically put Tampa Bay at the Tampa Bay at the bottom. I think Tampa Bay will be five. Um, they haven't done much. I think Hassan Kim was one of their bigger deals, in my opinion. They're also it's not much. Um, the Toronto, everybody tempts to go there and then they end up not going to Toronto. They did get Santander, which was a good pickup. They got Max Scherzer, which was decent, but he's at the end of his career. Um, with all the lore of like, is Vladdy gonna stay after this year? If not, it's gonna cause some drama there. So that's
Come
my
to
book.
Los Angeles. Vladdy,
No,
come to
no,
Los
no,
Angeles. Be an angel,
Yeah.
baby. Be an
no,
Oh,
angel.
no. That's just gonna be another wasted
Be an
contract.
angel. Be an angel.
That's gonna be another terrible contract if the Angels end up signing him.
And
So
Mike Trout will
that
give
leaves
you his number too.
yeah.
okay. So what my top three, of course, is New York, Boston, and Baltimore. I want to really put Yankees at three. And that's kind of crazy because they won the World, or they didn't win the World Series, but they went to the World Series last year. But I really am on the train for Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to win the division. I think Boston's going to be two with all their pickups, and then Yankees for three. So I know that's a mix up. You said there's going to be a mix up.
I did.
I
That's my bad. I didn't think it was gonna be that much of a mix up. Holy shit.
yeah.
All right, keep
So
cooking. Sorry, keep cooking.
um we got Baltimore here. All right, so Baltimore's going to win. The Yankees, they're just not the same. Yeah, they did improve. They did get Goldschmidt. They did get Belly. They did change up their team, but I still think Baltimore's going to win that. And I really like what Boston's done. Getting Crochet, getting some more arms, now they're solidifying Bregman at third. Story's supposed to be coming back. We'll see if he actually stays. Um, you know, I think Duran is really good. So I think that no, O'Neal's not on that team anymore, right? Tyler O'Neal's on
No, he
the
moved to Baltimore
he's on
actually, so
Baltimore,
he
right?
helps out your Baltimore pick.
Yeah. Um, I believe Charlie Martin's on the Baltimore now. So it's like I think Baltimore is still trending the right direction, even though they lost Santander. So that's why I really think Baltimore still has the upper edge.
All right, Connor, what do you got for this one?
I got Boston number one
Wow.
because I want to. And then two is a toss-up between mm, oh man.
Yeah.
I want a minor league playoff game back like
Oh
in
God.
both ways. You know what I'm about to do right now. I'm putting Tampa Bay at number two. And then I'm gonna put um the Orioles at Orioles at number three, the Yankees at four, and the Blue Jays at five.
Wow.
You were very hopeful with those standings there.
The Yankees
Yikes.
at four? Okay, I'm not as crazy now.
Yeah, now I like Kettler's standings now.
Dude.
For me, the Yankees, you already mentioned, improved their team, and I think they improved their team in better ways. I think this upcoming season's team is better than last year's team. Yes, you lose Juan Soto, but for how much the Mets are paying him, I think you're okay with him walking away for that. You keep Jazz Chisholm, you add Paul Goldschmidt, you sign Cody Bellinger, which is a better outfield player than Juan Soto. Yes, he's not going to be the big power bat that Juan Soto has, but with that field dimension, he's still a lefty. He's going to get the generous short right field. Cody Bellinger is going to be fine, and he's going to do great in New York. So I'm looking forward to Cody Bellinger this upcoming season. The pitching staff, losing Garrett Cole is going to hurt really bad, but adding Max Fried to this lineup, outstanding. They would have been a great 1-2. It's just going to be a one with him. They lost Nestor Cortez, but I think the Yankees will be fine pitching staff wise. I think the bullpen also looks very good. When you look at Boston, they added a lot of stuff. They added Bregman. They sent Devers to the DH, regardless if he's happy or not. That's the best move possible for that team. I think
Absolutely.
Jared Duran is a all-star outfielder. I think he's going to have a great year as well. They added Crochet. They kept Tanner Houck. I think it's going to actually be a very good season when it comes to the pitching staff of Boston as well. Baltimore, the total opposite. Their pitching staff to me got a lot worse. Yes, they bring in Charlie Morton, but I don't think that's going to make anything easier for losing Corbin Burns to Arizona. I think he's going to thrive in Arizona, and I think Baltimore is going to struggle finding a solidified number one. Could it be Grayson Rodriguez? I don't know. But I think Baltimore is going to struggle this upcoming year when it comes to the pitching staff. Offense will be there, though. It's just going to be, is the pitching there for Baltimore? Toronto, I mean, they made some veteran moves. They brought in some older guys. I think the Jimenez pickup is actually pretty solid, but that's pretty much it. And I don't think a second baseman is going to win you games. So Toronto, I think, is going to still be pretty bad this upcoming year. And I think the whole idea of Vladdy leaving this upcoming season is going to be lingering, and it's going to be a big distraction to the team. And I think him signing with the Angels upcoming season is evident. And I think Toronto is definitely going to struggle this upcoming year. Tampa Bay, they're a boring team. They're a boring team ever since I can remember. I mean, no one really goes out of the way to watch Tampa Bay play. And I think this upcoming season is going to be a worse Tampa Bay team than last year that also missed the playoffs. So for my standings, Tampa Bay is in last, Toronto's in fourth. I think that's an easy 4-5 pick for most people. And now you got the three juggernauts. You got the Yankees, you got the Red Sox, you got the Orioles. I think the Yankees win it again. I think this team is better than last year. So obviously, I think they're going to win the division. Boston, I think, is at 2. I think their pitching staff is outstanding. At least on paper, I think it looks great. So I think Boston has a great chance to make it second in the division, leaving Baltimore in a middle spot in third, where I don't even know if Baltimore even makes playoffs. I think there's a good chance that they take a big step backwards. I mean, they lost bad in the playoffs against Kansas City. They could not hit. Yeah, I did say their offense should not be a problem this year, but who knows? That might be lingering big time last or compared to last year. I
They
think that
brought in the wall.
offense, they maybe that helps in left field bringing in that wall, but I mean, what did they score 1 or 2 points in those 2 games against Kansas City, and they were the home
Yeah.
team there? I mean, you can't score 2 runs at home in a playoff series and expect to win. So I think Baltimore takes a big step back here, and I think they miss playoffs and get third in the division. So I mean, maybe that's the hot take there for me, but I think it's a pretty cookie cutter division picks, unfortunately for me.
And this year, really, that division, the AL East, is the best American League division. So
Yes. Oh,
I
as a collective, yes, but as a top three, I'm taking the Central.
really
Yeah,
Cleveland,
Cleveland,
Kansas City, and the
Detroit.
White Sox.
No, not your top three. I think majority of people's top three: Detroit, Cleveland, Kansas City. I'm taking that top three over New York, Boston, and Baltimore.
Mm-mm, I'm
I
not.
disagree. I
But
think the top three in the
collectively,
I
East
think
is
the
better.
Rays carry.
I think as a 5 teams, yes, I think the East is the
I
strongest.
see. I honestly didn't really pay attention to everything the Yankees did, but I still got to stand my ground. You know what I mean?
This guy with his cough attacks, man.
I know every time I start talking. Okay, what's
All
next?
right, let's head to the playoffs now. Uh,
Oh,
AL playoffs, NL playoffs. We'll give you our picks on who's going to win the AL pennant, the NL pennant, giving us our World Series matchup and our World Series picks. Is Kettler done coughing? Does he want to go first?
I'll let Connor go first on this.
ooh.
All right, Connor, start it off. Start off with
Match
the AL, then go
AL.
to the NL, and then make your picks.
All right. Obviously, I love my Rays and my A's. I hope they face each other in the playoffs, you know. It's like a just back and forth minor league stadiums. I don't know, something about it. That's what baseball's all about.
That would be wild.
Um, I do think Boston makes it all the way though. I think that the AL is weak, and it was last year too. I think any NL team would have beat up on the Yankees. Maybe not any NL team that made it, but like at least like the Padres, Mets, Phillies. Like I feel like all those teams would have beat them in the World Series. So I think whoever makes it out of that AL East spot, um, ends up making it to the World Series. And for me, I'll just stick with Boston because I think they're the ones who are going to win it. I don't know if Cleveland um, comes close again. I don't know if who did I pick to win the AL Central? I don't think the West has a chance. I
You
really
had
You
don't.
picked
Kansas
Kansas
City.
City.
You had
Kansas
Kansas
Picked
City,
City.
Kansas
I
City.
think they could be a threat too, but man, I don't see it. I think for sure that Boston makes it all the way. And then NL, I mean the NL is for sure easier. I think that the only real challenge the Dodgers are going to face is if they're whoever they face right out of their bye. Um, Not last year, but the 2 years prior, they have been very cold out of that first round bye. And
True.
then they were 1 game away from being eliminated the past year too. So that completely changes the trajectory of them winning the World Series if they don't win game 5. So I think if say the Padres are able to come out to like a 2-1 lead or a 2-0 lead, there's a real chance that they're done. So I'll still stick with the Dodgers. I think the talent's there. Even last year with the non-healthy squad, they were able to go all the way and just be so much better than everybody. So I think the Phillies could be threats again. The Padres if it's early, but I think Dodgers in Boston is going to be this World Series.
All right, Keller, who's your AL and NL playoff teams and who wins each pennant?
He's writing stuff down.
I know.
I
I'm
saw
looking
the
at my
pencil come
brackets
out.
here. I'm trying to decide. I think the Dodgers and I want to say Philly will match up in the National League side, and it's Boston, and I'm trying to decide on who will face them. I want to say for some reason, on the back of my head,
Chicago.
I think Houston's gonna find a way. I know that's weird. I have them second in the AL West, but Houston always finds a way. So I'm gonna put Houston there at second. I agree with Connor that I think Boston's gonna win that game though. I think it will be I hate to be the same type of pick he has. So for that, I'm gonna say Philly versus Boston. I'm gonna change it up just so the Dodgers don't. And then I'm gonna actually go with the Phillies winning it this year. I'm
Ooh,
I'm going
wow.
Well, like the city of champs this year.
yeah.
Interesting. City champions. Okay.
I wanna make a different pick than usual.
That's good.
Yeah,
There's
we don't
not
want you to be a homer anymore for the
Yeah, yeah,
no
yeah.
Dodgers.
We're tired of you being a homer.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go with the Phillies. Yeah,
Okay.
unfortunately this team is not making it and winning it.
This might
But
age very poorly. You
the
might be on a
Phillies
highlight. You might be on a highlight
Oh
reel.
man.
that would be beautiful. I would love that to be that. I can't wait for the day the Angels make the playoffs. But I got Philly winning it all this year. Phillies versus Boston. It would be cool to see Boston win it again, but I'm gonna say Philly.
All right.
Okay, okay.
For
It's
my playoff
respectable.
teams, we'll start off in the American League. My division winners were the Yankees, the Guardians, and the Astros. So obviously they're in. My three wild card spots. I got Boston taking the number one spot, Detroit taking two, Kansas City taking three. I think that is a lock. I'm not really convinced that any other team's going to take it besides maybe Baltimore. I think Baltimore is the only one in there that might take something. And honestly, if we go back to the A's might take that third spot as well if they want to surprise somebody. So
Oh
the
brother.
A's
They
might
might have a
just be
first round bye.
Oh brother.
so the A's might do something there, depending on how well Houston is this year. But those are my playoff teams for the American League and winning the pennant. I got Cleveland. I know it's going to be a hot take compared to a lot of other people, but I think Cleveland is really underrated ever since pretty much the last time they made the World Series, which was against the Cubs. They haven't really gotten that respect. I think this is a year that Cleveland could beat up on the AL because, as Connor said, I think the AL is also weak. I don't think there's any really strong teams in here outside maybe Boston and New York that could really make a hard run. So I'm going on a limb and I got Cleveland winning the AL pennant. For the National League, my division winners were the Dodgers, the Cubs, and the Mets. So they make it in. My wild card teams are the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, the Pirates. So I'm taking one from each division. I think Atlanta is one of those teams that just misses the cut because of injuries. I think Arizona gets in because of strong pitching, and I think Pittsburgh gets in because I think it'd be just a fun team to watch all season long. And I think Paul Skeens in the playoffs and a wild card series would be electric to watch. I think the media would love that. So those are my teams for that. But for the pennant, I can't go against them until they prove me wrong. I'm going to continue to pick them. I got the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers win the National League pennant. Connor mentioned it as I was going to mention as well, the team doesn't look all that great coming out of their bye. And I think that could be a lingering thing moving on in the future for this team. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think there could be a team that, like maybe the Phillies, get past them after they win their first series. They get into that series against the Dodgers and maybe they win in 4 games. Or maybe a team like the Mets get the better hand of them this year. I don't really know, but until they prove me wrong, give me the Dodgers to win the National League pennant. I can't go against them. So for World Series picks, Connor, we're going back to you. You got Boston and LA. Who wins it?
This way? Or
Oh
this way?
God. Oh God.
Gang signs over here.
Oh no. I just mean
No,
LA.
that's the proper way on
There
the
you go.
camera.
Yeah, that way.
Yes.
All right. He's got Los Angeles. Keller, you got
I have
Philly. You got Boston. Who you got winning?
Philly.
Philly. For me, I got Dodgers and I got Guardians. And again, until they prove me wrong, give me the Dodgers winning back-to-back years. So we got all National League winning it this year. I think we're all kind of in agreement that the National League has stronger teams to make bigger runs. Am I wrong here?
No, you're absolutely
No.
right. The National League is the stronger division this year.
Yeah.
They'll
So
still probably somehow lose like the All-Star game though, but
Sounds about right.
yeah, American League owns the All-Star game. We'll say that. But that wraps it up for this episode. You guys got anything else to mention before we wrap this one up?
Bryce Harper is going to be MVP this year.
dude, I
Jesus,
don't
dude,
know.
City of
It's
Champs,
tough.
man.
It's tough with Shohei though. But I agree. Let's just give
Yeah.
it. How about no AL MVP and just 2 NL MVPs?
I I'm actually all for just making one league MVP.
That would be sweet too.
Every other league does it. Why
One Cy
not?
Young.
Why not? But I don't know. I think Shohei wins NL MVP until he proves me that he can't do it anymore. Give me Shohei and the Dodgers,
if he
dude.
if he comes back and pitching as well, it's a no-brainer. They're just going to give
Yeah.
it to him
He doesn't
again.
have to be all that great at pitching. He just has to pitch.
Yeah.
I think he should go into the closer role, honestly, or into the bullpen.
I think the
I mean,
bullpen
if
option would be great for
yeah,
him.
like
Maybe
we saw in the World Baseball Classic, and it's at this point where with all his injuries, you want him to pitch, but you don't want him to overstress it. Now, him personally, I don't think he's going to accept that role. I think he's going to want because he just puts goals in mind and he's going to fulfill those goals that he's going to want to be back in the starter role. So I don't think they're going to be able to convince him otherwise. But what I think is smartest is to have him in the closer role.
yeah, 100% agree. I'm not gonna say anything more than that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, 151 episodes in the books. That wraps it up for this episode. MLB preseason. Let us know what you guys think down below. Do you guys agree with our predictions? Do you think one of us is correct? Do you think all 3 of us have a good shot to actually make some good predictions for the end of the season? But let us know down below who is going to be a World Series champ. What do you think about the A's moving to Sacramento? Appreciate you guys listening to this one. Have an awesome opening weekend. Enjoy baseball season as we all will. So have an awesome rest of the weekend, and we'll see you guys later.